I have declared it so. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I just said I had a big lake in my backyard.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. With birds and ducks and it's supposed to be just a grassy yard.
The west branch of White Lick Creek was the west branch of the White River. It was as wide as I think I'd ever seen it. The day before, the grandkids, have been out playing in it, you know, with their boots on and collecting rocks. And then it's like, you want to get rid of any kids, here's the day.
You want to go play in the creek?
Yeah, hey, kids.
That's what the airport does. When it rains, they empty all their ponds.
Oh. There's Dave coming in. Lynn and Steve are in Florida. I haven't heard from them. How are you, Dave?
Okay.
So is it warm there?
74, I guess.
I take it.
It's been unusually warm for the last 3 or 4 weeks here.
Thank you.
And dry, no rain.
No rain. Huh. Well,
Really?
we had 2.5 at our house the other day. It's like Loring has a halo.
I thought it was spouting horns there for a minute.
Oh, well, yeah, they kind of look like that too.
Yes.
Eye of the beholder.
That's what I thought. Sorry.
Norma, I was thinking about you this week. Are you the only other vocalist who sang with Dad on his records? The only other lady?
Yeah, I think just the two of us were the only ones who made the recording.
Betty Fields was the pianist?
Yes.
Okay.
We have lots of recordings. Dave, his dad, and I sang together.
Mm.
And duets. We did sacred music and like wedding music and a variety of kinds of music. And yeah, I have LPs.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I think my sister-in-law sang with him some,
Oh,
Joanne Thompson from Plainfield.
But did she make recordings?
No, she didn't make recordings, but I've
Yeah,
heard stories.
they were quite good and in demand.
Yes.
Mm.
I think we should demand some now.
Well, I have a record player here, so I think we've got them on CD though.
Yeah.
You had them, I think Sylvia had them recorded on CDs. So you got the rain, did you need it?
Not really.
No?
Not that much.
Yeah, the ground was pretty wet anyhow, and then to get that much, it just couldn't hold it.
Is it cold this morning?
It's 40
Moderate.
right now.
Yeah.
But not too
My
bad.
electric was off for 2 hours, so
Oh,
a little chilly in here.
Oh, the other
Wow.
during the storm?
No, I have no idea why. It went off Friday night for an hour, and this morning at 6:40, it went off for 2 hours.
Why?
You were born to suffer.
Yeah, someone's testing your metal.
That's it.
Mine went off right when I was on a Zoom call for Wilmington College, and I didn't mind at all. Somebody else had to take the minutes.
You'll have to let me know when it's time to go play because I don't, my phone's in
okay.
my bag over there.
I'll let you know. We think we have the music fixed. It was not the owl after all. It was Norma. No.
Oh,
I was with, off and on most of the week with the owl people, and finally they said, what conferencing software you use? And I said Zoom. And the lady goes, oh, well, they put a new setting in to improve it. And so you have to go click this setting on to hear music. So,
Is that an improvement in quotations?
yeah, I think it was because people were, it was supposed to eliminate background noise because people were complaining about echoes and background noise. And so they decided they'd put this in, and now it's sound for musicians, it's called, that you have to turn on. So we tested it. Stan said he heard music, so, but then Stan often hears things that none of the rest of us do. So. We'll see.
But he doesn't hear me.
So who decided to use him as a tester if he hears things?
Well, the truth is, I'm only pretending to play.
So of course, since we said it works, it won't. We did test it. Stan was first on, and so we did it then. And he said he heard it, so it was like, well, they didn't lie. That was all it was.
That was all it was.
It was nice of them to let you know that they had an upgrade.
Yeah.
I mean, to have.
I hate to tell you this, but they send you these emails all the time. They may have told that it's buried in something that you had no desire to read.
No, I always read the owl emails because usually they're about and because I just upgraded the owl. But the Zoom never sends emails. I never get emails from Zoom other than about some new meeting that they want me to attend. But yeah, I didn't know anything about it. So the owl people were the ones who said, check Zoom. So they knew what it was.
So I just to update you on Esther, the clerk of our meeting who got the metastatic breast cancer suddenly. She says that she's been doing some kind of treatment. I don't understand it exactly, but her oncologist is very happy with her right now. And so she feels satisfied with that. And, they've been doing, they moved down to be near her family, but didn't sell the house up here yet, which is good because it's near the hospital. So she's been going back and forth to the Cape, but things seem to be going as well as we could hope.
Good. Well, Nancy didn't join us today just because she's her legs had been bothering her more. She did a lot of walking this week. She went to a doctor's appointment of mine because that way I'd take her out to lunch. And then we took her to her own doctor's appointments, at which she was, as the nurse practitioner said, well, you're awful feisty today. Well, if you knew her, that's not that unusual. But her tests so far are good. She had to have blood drawn, and she does have to go get x-rays for brittle bones. But then she tried to do something yesterday, and I kept telling her, I don't think you should try to do this. And so this morning, she just can barely move. So she was sacked out.
Did she enjoy it in the moment?
She enjoyed going out to eat and those things, but the things that she tried to do, this is awful, but I mean, she wanted to take a bath instead of a shower. And she can't get in and out of the bathtub. She can't, it's too high to step in, even with grab bars and everything. And she tried and tried, and then she froze because she gets fearful that she's going to fall. So she froze with one leg in and one leg out, and I just kept saying, you can't do this. And it took almost a half an hour to convince her she couldn't. So by then, all that standing, she was just done in. So I don't know where she gets the hard-headedness. I hear the Pearsons are that way, but I forgot you were sitting here.
They are.
Oh, is that Amanda?
Yeah, Amanda's here.
Hi, Amanda.
She must be out at the horse barn.
I am.
Well, Norma's got music prepared. Fingers crossed.
There's Jonathan too.
Yeah, Jonathan's here.
Morning.
Jonathan.
Morning.
So say a little prayer that the music works today.
Is it fine? Okay.
It's fine.
It seems a little lower, I guess. I can probably turn it up here. Muted already. No? Huh.
Well, it worked. Hallelujah. Thank you, Norma. I can't think of any announcements that need to be made other than Steve and Lynn are gone at this time. in Florida, and Sylvia and Dan are in Belize. So I think Sylvia and Dan will be there about a month. So we probably will not see them for a few more weeks. Are there joys or concerns to share with folks?
I'd like for you to remember my nephew, Mike Bailey. I don't have any updates other than probably chemotherapy will start if it hasn't already. But I'd like to make sure we all hold him in our prayers.
I went and visited my friend Pat Lloyd, and I guess they've done everything they can do for her cancer they can do. And, but she's got a real good attitude, but she could use our prayers.
Well, let's hold these things in God's light and love as we continue our worship. I'm the worship leader today, so I'll speak out of the silence as I feel led. For a little scripture verse, I'm going to read from 1 Corinthians 15, the last verse in that, verse 58, where it says, Paul's writing, and he says, "So, my dear brothers and sisters, keep firm and immovable, always abounding in energy for the Lord's work, being sure that in the Lord none of your labor is wasted." Well, I spend too much time, I'm sure, on Facebook. Writers, if you ever hang around them very much, you'll find they find all kinds of ways to waste time to keep from writing. We we'd love to do it, but we'd love to put it off too. We love, as a friend of mine says, I don't like writing, but I love having written, getting it done. But as I was going through Facebook the other day, a friend of mine who was turning 70 posted this rather long, sad piece about how she, for the first time in her life, despaired for the world. Just had kind of thought, well, it's never going to get any better, and this is awful. It was just, it was really pretty much a downer to read it. That she had given up hope. I'd always thought she was a person that had a lot of hope. Well, that was the same morning I took Nancy to the doctor, and part of her evaluation, because of the medicines that she's on, they always ask, do you ever feel discouraged or down? And she gave her usual answer, which was, every time I watch the news. To which it's easy. I feel that way too. And of course, the doctor said, well, then just stop watching the news, to which Nancy had a retort. But I was thinking about that. It does seem hard not to despair at times. And we wonder, what can we do? What can we do? I just last Saturday wrapped up an online Hope and Witness workshop. The final session's on hope, and I always open that session by asking the participants to say what comes to mind when they hear the word hope. And often, a lot of the responses seem to me to have more to do with wishful thinking than hope. Kind of a wishing that things will get better, or it's in. There's a lot of hope is kind of wishing for something that probably isn't going to come to pass. And I think that that's part of the problem, why it's easy to feel despair, because if that's what our idea of hope is, that it's kind of just a wish, not grounded in anything, then it probably won't come true. There's probably not any reason for hope. And it does seem to me that part of the reason that people of faith have hope, or should have hope if we can remember to, is that our hope is not based on our own efforts or anything like that. That our hope is in the great love of God that surrounds us, and the great love of God that surrounds this world and wants all that is good for it. And that divine love, in ways seen and unseen, is at work all the time. In millions of ways and millions of people. And that countless people before us have practiced that faith, loved deeply, and changed things for the better when they worked with God. One of the quotes that I use, and I've probably used it here before, but in that workshop, is one from George Fox. And it says, "Sing and rejoice, ye children of the day and of the light, for the Lord is at work in this thick night of darkness that may be felt. And truth doth flourish as the rose, and the lilies do grow among the thorns, and the plants atop the hills, and upon them the lambs doth skip and play, and never heed the tempest nor the storms, floods or rain, for Christ is over all and doth reign. And so be of good faith and valiant for the truth." Now, that's from, it's not from his journal. I mean, many of us know Fox's journal, but Fox wrote all kinds of other things. And this is from one of his epistles, and it's the epistle to the friends in prison while he was in prison, writing to the rest of them. So he's sitting in the midst of tempests and storms and rains, and he's saying, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice. You're children of the day and of the light, as are we. And the Lord is at work in this, and I love this line, in the thick night of darkness that may be felt. You know, he's not denying that it may feel that way, but it feels. It's heavy, it's oppressive, but God is over all. Christ reigns. Now, I have struggled at times with the part where he says, never heed the tempest, nor the storms, the floods or the rains, especially after the floods and rains we had this week. But I don't think he's saying in the archaic language that he has of that time. He's not saying they're not present, they're not real, but he's saying those are not the things to be paying the most attention to. The things you're to pay the most attention is God. You know, those things are real, he's saying, I think, but, and this is a bad word, but Christ is realer, more real than they are. God's at work. And as the children of God, we are too. And we're not even called to be what the world would call successful. We're called to be faithful and to trust in God. And what I mean by successful is we could easily despair, like my friend, if we say, well, for years, for 4 centuries almost now, Quakers have been advocating for peace. And are we any closer than we were before? We've been advocating for equality. Are we closer or not? And if we look at it as results oriented, well, perhaps there's some way to be concerned, but then it's hard to see what results we've had anyhow. I mean, that's it. But we're not called to be successful that way or results oriented. We're called to be faithful and carry forth this message of love that changes the world and by changing people. Now, you all know that I love poetry, but I also love music. I mean, I have way too much of it. CDs, I still have almost all the LPs I had when I was in, I think last count, 450 LPs still that I have from those old days. And I love all kinds of music. But this last week, I heard a new album by a woman named Iris Dement. And I don't know how many people know Iris, but she's rather quirky. One of her best friends was John Prine, if you know John Prine. But she has a new song out called Working on a World. Iris has always been a really spiritual songwriter, although I don't know that she calls herself that, and she's been kind enough to let me use some of her lyrics in my books. But when asked about this new album, she said one reason she wrote it was because for some weird reason, the kind of culture we live in makes it even more difficult to remember what we know. To remember what we know. We know that we are children of Christ, children of the day and of the light. But how often do we forget that, the God of love and eternity? This album that Iris put out, she says the songs are meant to inspire listeners, to fortify you in your fight against evil, she says. Some things aren't that complicated. There's love and there's hate. There's good and there's evil. And which side are you on? And so her song, the first one, and the title of the album is Working on a World. And I really like it, so I'm going to share the lyrics with you because I think it talks about being faithful even in dark times and working with a hope. And it starts, I got so down and troubled, I nearly lost my head. Started waking every morning filled with sadness, fear, and dread. The world I took for granted was crashing to the ground, and I realized I might not live long enough to see it ever turn around. But then I got to thinking of the ones who came before and all the sacrifices that they made to open up so many doors. Doors I got to walk through on streets paved for me by people who were working on a world they never got to see. Now I'm working on a world that I may never see. I'm joining forces with the warriors of love who came before and follow you and me. I get up in the morning knowing I'm privileged just to be working on a world that I may never see. I don't have all the answers to the troubles of the day, but neither did our ancestors, and they persevered anyway. When I see a little baby reaching out its arms to me, I remember why I'm working on a world I may never see. I'm working on a world I may never see. I'm joining forces with the warriors of love who came before and will follow you and me. I get up in the morning knowing I'm privileged just to be working on a world that I may never see. And therein, I think, is our hope. We are asked to join forces with our fellow warriors of love and with divine assistance to work for a world that we may never see. Well, Norma has a closing song for us to end this part of worship. Thank you, Norma. We'll now continue with unprogrammed worship and say goodbye to those who need to leave. Sunday school will be at 10:35 for those who want to join us. So. Well, if friends are easy, we'll close meeting for worship. It's good to see everybody. So, we'll be back for Sunday school for those who can join us.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, I got to go to Wellesley, but I'll be thinking of you.
Give them our greetings.
Will do.